Bison Media Zone on WDAY Extra.
Hi again, everybody. Welcome to the Bison Media Zone, presented by Northwestern Mutual here on a Wednesday. We do it each and every Wednesday at 10:30 with the Forum's Jeff Kolpak. I'm Dom Izzo. North Dakota State football will play its first conference road game of 2025 as they'll head to Normal, Illinois to take on the Redbirds, a place that the Bison have felt just at home at over the last decade. The Bison enter with a 13-game win streak against Illinois State, something that the head football coach made note of right off the top, saying, people are going to see the score last year, Jeff, at 42-10, but that was a 14-7 halftime score, and then things just changed on a dime there in the third quarter.
I guess I never saw this coming if I'm thinking back to 2014 and the team that the Redbirds had with Trey Roberson, Marsh Coppridge. He was a dynamite running back. God, they had good receivers. They just had some players, but they just haven't really found that next level, and now that's a long time ago. That's 11 seasons ago when you think about it. And things just really haven't changed much. You look back to, this is from 2019?
Yeah.
Just like, wow.
Which was homecoming that day. Bison won that game 37-3. 2021, the Bison go there. Homecoming again. NDSU wins that game 20-0. Illinois State couldn't even get on the scoreboard that day. And then, of course, what happened last year in a game that was, like I mentioned, was 14-7 early in the third quarter. And the Bison put the hammer down. Illinois State, in its last 3 home games against North Dakota State, has scored a total of 13 points. You're not going to beat anybody with that.
Well, maybe this is why, here's Cole Payton going off last year in the second half. But that's why you do a night game. Do something
Change
different.
Something up, right?
Yeah, do something different. Make it in a night game. Maybe it's a different vibe. Maybe the fans show up and are a little more juiced, although they were pretty juiced at the beginning of last year, and that didn't last too much after halftime. But, yeah, I get why maybe they did this. Yeah. They haven't come out and said it, but maybe it's a whiteout, so they're trying to do that. Maybe the team, make NDSU, the opposing team, sit around the hotel all day. Yep. Maybe that'll do something. So I give him credit for trying something.
Let's talk about that, because you asked Polisic about that yesterday at the press conference, and he was emphatic. Like, this can't be a thing. We can't let it be a thing. But they have become such creatures of habit when they go and play road games. Now, this is the first time they're doing a road conference night game in 6 years. Youngstown State, I think we found out earlier this week, 2019. But this has become routine of what the Bison do when they go play a road game.
And how Tim addressed that question is, okay, let's get to 2 o'clock, because there's a 4-hour routine to game day. It's 4 hours before kickoff. And so he goes, let's just get to 2 o'clock, and then you should be settled into what you do. It's going to be an extra team meeting. It's going to be an extra meal.
Extra walkthrough, too.
Extra walkthrough, yes. And maybe you just sleep in for a little bit. But here's the thing. If you're a mature team, you handle these things.
Yes.
If you let this bug you that you have to hang around for longer than usual during a game day, then maybe you're not mature enough to handle a championship-level caliber team.
I'm going to go back to what you just said. That's an interesting point for what Illinois State's doing. Hey, we've seen it. Nothing's worked. Let's try and change it up and see, take our chances at what could potentially happen here on Saturday night.
Yeah, and I go back to is NDSU a mature team or not? Cole Payne's in his 5th year. Bryce Lance is in the 5th year.
Yep.
You got guys that have been around, Jackson Dutenheffer. So I think the makeup of this team so far, what we've seen, again, we've hammered ad nauseum on, I know that the combined record of NDSU's opponents are, 8-13?
Not great.
Yeah, not good. But I think this team has been built to handle it. Certainly it starts with the leadership and the head coach. And when he's emphatic on maybe he's using that little motivation somehow. Hey, look what they're trying to do to you. They're trying to they don't think you can handle a night game.
I think Tuesdays are more spent with him indirectly talking to the team as opposed to answering our questions. I think he's using that both ways. Let's talk about Illinois State. They're 3-1. Their loss, Jeff, was to Oklahoma. That's a payday game. You go and do that. Their wins, though, again, not over the great shakes of FCS football. Morehead State, non-scholarship school. Eastern Illinois, out of the Big South Ohio Valley Conference, and then North Alabama, which you're seeing video from here. I will just say, a little red flag here. They gave up 30 to Eastern Illinois, who struggled to beat Western Illinois this past weekend. And you watched a good portion of this game, which, frankly, they should have lost to North Alabama.
North Alabama just needed to do an extra point. in regulation and not go to overtime, and they would have won the game. It was like 33 seconds left. I want to clarify that 8-13 record is what both teams. You take Oklahoma out of the equation.
Yeah, right.
Both these teams are face teams. So it goes both ways on the schedule. But yeah, I look at Illinois State, and they've given up an average of 33 points to Eastern Illinois and North Alabama.
That's not good. Not good.
It's not a promising sign. I think Brock Speck had high hopes that the defense would be better. Their middle linebacker, Ty Niecamp's really good.
Really good.
I think he's a first-team all-selection to be, just based statistically.
2 times in a row he has been. He's been that good in the middle for Illinois State.
But I think their back end, they lost some guys in the secondary.
Yep.
I'm not sure they've really figured that out yet either.
They got hit hard in the portal, too. We hammered this with South Dakota last week. It's not like Illinois State emerged unscathed. You win 10 football games, people are going to say, okay, well, there's a reason why they won 10. Let's go. I mean, Xavier Lloyd, their great wide receiver on the offensive side of the ball, he's gone to the SEC. I mean, that's just it's just too often we're going to talk about this throughout the season when if you bubble up, and Illinois State didn't, they've always been really solid, that the big boys are going to come for your program.
And talking to Brock Speck during Missouri Valley Media Day in July, late July, I think he had really good hopes his defensive line would be more disruptive. He goes, I think they look good, they're big enough, and I just don't know if that's come to fruition like he had hoped to this point. Now is a pretty good time to change some ways, but NDSU O-line's been pretty good too.
I want to jump off there because we touched on it a little bit on Monday. I want to give you some more runway to talk about how impressive the Bison offensive line has been. Bo Johnson at left tackle, which is now, it's not the blind side anymore. That's now Josh Mangan at right tackle with a left-handed quarterback. I've been really impressed. Bo Johnson has been really good on the outside.
Well, I think it starts in the middle with Trent Fraley, and then Griffin Empey, obviously, I think, is playing at an all-conference level to date, again, as we head into October. But they've always had that left tackle. Yep. You start with Billy Turner. You go to
Joe Haig,
and then
Radens.
Dylan Radens, and Cody Mauk.
Yep.
I mean, you go down the line. You know, I'm doing this story this week on the Bison 2020 offensive line. 8 guys on that roster, offensive linemen, started a game in the NFL. And you start with Radens on that team, and there was Cody Mauk couldn't even reach the line.
Right, he
was 6'5", 295 at that point. He wore number 88 as that
the ogre,
that offensive eligible pass receiving guy. Gray Zabel was a true freshman. Mason Miller is a true freshman.
Yes, Jensen's on that team.
Jalen Sundell.
Kubis is on that team.
They couldn't, and so you had guys.
Cordell.
You had a second-round draft pick eventually, Cody Mauk, who couldn't even crack the lineup.
And you have another second rounder starting at left tackle.
Yeah. And so I looked it up. Right now, in the National Football League, there are 10 offensive linemen from Ohio State spanning all years.
Okay.
You had 8 from that Bison team who reached the NFL. You had, I think there's 8 guys from Alabama, or no, maybe 9 guys from Alabama from all years who are offensive linemen in the NFL right now. Gives you a sense of that's an FCS team. From 1 year.
And we were nitpicking about them, they couldn't block some guys. That's
it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling.
Also mind-blowing, I know McFeely wrote about it. You can check it out in Forum, is the Air Bison.
Yeah.
Because of where they rank nationally in terms of passing the football. If I would have told you that even 3 years ago, would you believe me about how much this team throws the football?
Well, no, but let's temper that a little bit. It's a product of who they've played, too. Tennessee State was awful.
Not great.
In the secondary. Nope. Southeast Missouri State dared everybody to run. They never adjusted. And so Cole Payton had all the time. So obviously Brock Speck has been around the block. He's been in the Big Ten, as we know. He knows defense. And so I would expect him to maybe attack that part of the game a little more different. Although he said this week, he goes, you can put an eye on Bryce Lance, but you can't pay total attention to Bryce Lance because they have other guys. Right. Raja Nelson's really good.
This happened this past week when South Dakota tried to do. I mean, Raja comes out, has a big game. Jackson Williams gets into the end zone. Pick your poison, honestly. If you want to stop Bryce, fine. But here's Chris Harris back. Mekhi Collins is out there. And on the tight end, something I don't think we accounted for in fall camp is their production, how good they've been so far.
I think Reese Kessel's come on, as Randy Hedberg predicted. Let's give a little kudos to the old ball coach. He thought last year when Reese was a true freshman that he may have some potential, and so far he's really, I think, come to fruition. Finn Diggins is more of a threat really now in the passing game. He changed his body in the offseason. He got leaner, got a little quicker. He's been a part of the passing. Carson Williams, what do the tight ends have? 12?
Which, I mean,
12
last year,
catches, something like that.
Diggins didn't have a catch at all last year. I think Carson
all
Williams
Joe
had
Stuffle.
2. Right, Stuffle was the main guy for Cam Miller, but Carson Williams had 2. Caden Zenzen had 1, and that was it. We've already seen more spread out production there at the tight end room.
More balance, and I think, again, that's a product of the receivers drawing attention.
Yep.
It's just the take. It's for the taking right there for the tight end.
Catch the ball, as
catch
Tim
the ball.
Polisic would say. Now, to illustrate the domination of what NDSU has had against Illinois State, we put this together, Kolpak. You just don't see this at this level. The Bison, in the last 6 games, have won all 6. Illinois State has only scored 4 touchdowns against the Bison. And this is not a bad outfit. They've been to the playoffs multiple times during this stretch.
Well, I think it's a product of not finding a quarterback of Trey Roberson level. They've had good quarterbacks. I mean, these guys have been pretty good, but they just haven't had that elite FCS quarterback, and I think they've had hopes of finding you look at Zach Anistad from the Gophers. Yep. I think they thought maybe he'd be an elite level FCS. He was good, but he wasn't elite level FCS.
Think of the guy. They had the Memphis transfer, Brady Davis, I think his name was. He couldn't get the job
Couldn't move.
He couldn't get the job done. They had the one quarterback that played the Bison in the playoff game with James Robinson. There was no threat of a downfield passing attack. That was James Robinson was going to get the ball 35 times. I think you're exactly right on quarterback. But that to me, 153-36. That's like we're talking NDSU, Indiana State.
Mind-boggling.
Not Illinois State. That's what they've done here. And that's what they're going to try and change on Saturday night. That's an uphill battle.
Well, until I see it change, I guess,
right.
Heading into this game, like you get asked all week, who are you going to pick? I'm picking the same thing I've seen for years until things change, and that includes the FCS as a whole. Until our eyes, we see things change. Yep. I don't know how you can pick anything different to this point as we sit here on the first day of October.
I think SPAC mentioned this as well in Sioux Falls. They haven't beat either of the South Dakota State or North Dakota State since 2019. And that was their banner year. They made the quarterfinals. The Redbirds beat the Jackrabbits that year. But ever since, been goose eggs.
Since the pandemic.
And that's right. And that's why they have not had the national success. They're ranked 6th in the country. We're talking about them like they're 1-4. That's not in reality where they're at, but they haven't been close in beating SDSU or NDSU.
Yeah, again, I don't know how to answer that question other than you got to beat them. You got to at some point you got to beat them.
And they're spending money. I mean, they built a new indoor dome. I mean, it's not like they don't
nice.
Right, it's not like they don't care
City's
about football.
Nice.
There.
Everything's great about that campus. It's when you look at the Missouri Valley Conference and the cities and the facilities.
Oh, Normal's great.
I think, Normal's it's a great campus. It's a nice campus. Yep. It's a nice town. It's a nice city, a nice stadium. They renovated it. They have suites. They have their beer garden. They have everything you really want in a college football atmosphere. But now they just need to, find a couple marquee wins.
Yeah. When we went there in 2012 and look at that stadium, to where people will either watch the game or go on Saturday. It's night and day.
Yeah, come in that east entrance. It's big time.
It's fantastic.
It's big time.
Really, really nice. And they just have not been able to have the national kind of success that they were hoping for. We'll see what comes up on Saturday. We'll break. We come back here on the BMZ. It is the opener of Valley Conference weekend for everybody else. We're going to look at those games and chat about what's coming up in Week 6 as the Bison Media Zone continues on WDAY Extra after this. Back here on the Bison Media Zone on WDAY Extra. Here's a look at the opening full weekend of Missouri Valley Football Conference games. We talked plenty on the Bison and Illinois State matchup, which is the Valley Game of the Week. It's exclusive on ESPN+, so WDAY will not have the game this weekend. That game in the bottom left, Jeffrey, North Dakota at Northern Iowa. Now, UND 2 years ago, after they had that big win over the Bison, went to Cedar Falls and laid a goose egg. They didn't even score in that game against UNI. No, but this is a much different Northern Iowa team they're going to see on Saturday.
You know what's kind of, I think, sad with the Missouri Valley right now is the status of Northern Iowa. I mean, I think right now, as you look at it, they're on a level around Indiana State right now, which is, you never thought that would happen. They're still above Murray State, like everybody is. But Northern Iowa loses to Utah Tech.
Yeah.
And then they barely beat Eastern Washington, which got its doors blown off by Montana State last weekend. So, yeah, Top Stats has some work to do at Northern Iowa. I mean, I think the infrastructure's there. They're still talking renovation to the UNI Dome. But it doesn't take long, like Craig Bull would say.
Yeah, that's right.
Craig Bull would say, once you lose it, it's hard to get it back. Look at Youngstown State.
Yep.
After its domination of the FCS or 1AA in the 1990s, the Penguins went through a drought, and it's hard to get it back. Montana was a dominant team, goes through a drought, and now I think they're finally starting to get it back a little bit.
Though. It took over a decade for them to get back.
So we'll see how long. I know, and with transfer portal departures, maybe that makes it a little tougher too to get it back. But Northern Iowa better be careful. That fan base, that administration, those boosters down there better act fast because it's hard to get it back.
South Dakota starts to stretch here where it's Murray, Indiana State, Northern Iowa. We could be talking here in 3 weeks' time that they're 5-3, but still have UND and SDSU coming to Vermilion later this year.
Well, it's a chance for the Coyotes to resurrect their ship a little bit, if you will, because they got their doors blown off by the Bison last week. That's got to be a little hit to the confidence.
That game up top right, it's a night game. I don't know if there's some gamesmanship going on there with Youngstown because they haven't beaten the Jackrabbits in forever, much like they haven't beat the Bison. South Dakota State has looked really impressive. I will say that. I'll tip my hat to what the Jacks have done in their first 4 games.
I will too. They've repaired their portal departures much better than I thought they would.
Much better than USD did.
Yes. But I think the Penguins and Illinois State are in a little bit of the same boat here this weekend. Yeah. Because both can make statement games against the Dakotas. And for Youngstown State, they're 3-1.
Yep.
I mean,
correct.
What did they play? Michigan State tough?
They did. They played the Spartans tough.
So don't discount Youngstown State at this minute. I mean, they're at home. It's too bad they don't have a better home field advantage.
It used to be.
Stambaugh Stadium is a nice place. You talk about a wow-looking place. It's big. It's got one of the best suite areas in the country.
Yeah. Yep.
You feel like you're in the 5th highest point in the state of Ohio when you're on top there.
You are, actually.
You can see forever from the top there. But the community just has not rallied around them.
That other team we're not talking about enough, we're going to see them next week, is Southern Illinois. Because they're just out here, I think, how they demolished SEMO. They played Purdue, I thought, pretty tough. They lost that game. They have DJ Williams back at quarterback who got hurt before they played the Bison and totally derailed their season. SIU is going to be heard from. They have to come here. The following week they play UND. I got my eyes on SIU as maybe the third team in this conference.
Sometimes you don't know what you get with it. Sometimes they're really good with the portal. Sometimes they struggle with finding players and the chemistry. Maybe this is their year. I haven't really looked into them a lot.
I'll tell you, I'm saying after this game, they're going to handle Indiana State. It's a night game in Carbondale. But when they come to Fargo, and they have never won in Fargo, that's something to really keep an eye on, I think, next week. Because I think they're better than what people are expecting.
Well, if you have DJ Williams, it starts with a good quarterback, and I like the way he's a mature guy too. He's been around.
He started his career at Murray State. Yeah. Actually, the Bison saw him in 2023 in Fargo. He was the quarterback there, and he was by far their best player on that Racer team a couple years ago.
Tells me he's pretty smart leaving Murray State.
He did. He made a good decision there. All right, now don't forget, the game Saturday night, 6 o'clock. It's on ESPN+. We'll be there, though, for Bison Game Day live at 10 a.m. from one of our favorite spots in Normal to get you ready for the Bison and the Redbirds. Leading you up to, of course, a night kickoff, which is exclusive on ESPN+. We'll be back with Bison postgame live. You'll hear from Tim Polasek, all the Bison players, all the pertinence, as we like to say, that's exclusive on Informed.com.
2 years in a row, do we know if Sam knows where exactly we're going to be yet? Because we gave him the visual last year on.
Geography and Sam is never great.
Struggles.
He's challenged on that. I think he knows. He knows better on Illinois State than, say, Southern Illinois.
Well, I'm going to give him a multiple choice.
We'll be there on Saturday morning to get you ready for, and it's going to be warm as well, at least for Bison Game Day. I don't know about time. The night game kickoff, it should be nice and comfortable, about 60 degrees for kickoff, as the Bison go for a 14th consecutive win against Illinois State. That's going to wrap it up for this week's edition of the Bison Media Zone. We appreciate you watching. We're back here next Wednesday at 10:30. North Dakota State getting you ready for Southern Illinois. We'll actually be talking basketball next week as well, with Summer League Media Day going on in Sioux Falls next Tuesday. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we'll see you next week.